Uh, Very good morning to all my professional colleagues. So one more great day. So before starting, as usual, let us start our sessions with our motto song.
सुप्तेषु जाग्रति सुप्तेषु जाग्रति कामं 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 कामंशो पुरुषो निर्मिमाणः तदेव शुक्रं तदब्रह्मा तदेवामृतमुच्यते तस्मिन् लोकः सर्वे तदूनाद्यवीतश्च एतद्वैता 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 एतद्वैता.
Thank you very much to all. Outside, on behalf of Annanagar CP Study Circle, SARC of ICAI, I'm yours Hemant Kumar, along with my Deputy Convener, Bharshyam ji. So we welcome you all for this wonderful day. So on behalf of grand welcome to the board speakers for the day. And in this gesture, it's after 1 month of my taking over, I got the opportunity to thank my immediate past co-conveners, sir. Welcome Madan Gopal ji for this wonderful session. So thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, after your setup of the standards made by Annanagar CP Circle, with all your blessings, we've taken charge and we also started functioning in that. So we thank you very much on behalf of all Annanagar CP members and convener as myself in the capacity and deputy convener both of us to kindly take our sincere thanks and for your services during the period. Now I understood that last 1 month the difficulty of the convener. So definitely it's a great services we done it. So we like with a great appreciation and thank you very much to register our thanks, sir. And for the day we have two eminent speakers from Madurai, one Saravana Kumar sir and Mr. Bala Subramaniam sir. Welcome, sir. So I request our past immediate convener, Mr. Madan Gopal Narayan sir, to kindly introduce the speaker so that we will start the first session with Saravana Kumar sir with the GST refund related issue, latest issues. Over to Madan Gopal sir.
Members, very good morning to all of you. So at the outset, I thank Annanagar convener, CP Study Circle convener, Shri Hemant, CA Hemant, okay, on this Saturday morning meeting on GST. So I take this opportunity to welcome both the speakers from Madurai here. In fact, I know both of them personally. A good friend of mine, practicing chartered accountant from Madurai. C.A. Saravana Kumar, G. Saravana Kumar is a chartered accountant, cost accountant at a postgraduate finance and control. He's a qualified DSA from ICI, partner of BSLS and Associates Chartered Accountants having branches in Madurai and Chennai. He is an approved trainer for GST by ICI Delhi. He has qualified certificate course on indirect taxes conducted by ICI Delhi. He's been in active practice in the areas of indirect taxes in the field of particularly after this 2017 in the involvement of GST. He's been actively involved in health check, diagnostic review audit in the area of indirect taxes in manufacturing and service oriented companies. He has representation before various statutory authorities, tribunal and settlement commission. He has retailership services for various corporates, in-house training for various corporates and consultancies. He has presented more than 200 plus papers in GST and other indirect taxes before various professional forums like ICAI, ICSI, Tamil Nadu Chamber of Commerce, national conferences, etc. He has contributed background material for ICAI on invoicing procedures in GST as a reviewer and two-day workshop on service tax by ICAI as an author. He has written articles in tax management in India.com and ICAI newsletters. He has contributed study material of Aragalpa University, Karaikudi Alagappa University for the course of post-graduation in VAT and service tax. In fact, after hearing Saravana Kumar and Bala Subramaniam, my interest towards indirect taxes on GST got multi-foldedly increased. Each and every input, whatever they give, it's really value addition for both for the practice and for knowledge. So welcome Saravana Kumar sir for this session. Most of us know the overview concepts of GST law, CGST Act, SGST Act, IGST Act. Now that since 3 years is over, the issues relating to this law is now coming up. One such issue is now with regard to refunds. And now since 4-5 months of lockdown, a lot of business clients of us are held up with a lot of liquidity aspects. Few of such clients, in fact, they have asked us, sir, நிறைய input credit இருக்கு சார் எங்களுக்கு நீங்க refund வாங்கி கொடுங்க. So issues like this has come up along, and now that the department is raising a lot of queries, this is not enough, that is not required, you give this, give that. So Saravana Kumar sir now will take us through the procedures for this refund and what are all the issues will arise on that. And as per the GST law, how do we, as professionals, how do we handle these refund issues so that our clients should be satisfied and ultimate objective goal of the profession to be achieved. Saravana Kumar sir, you can take over in your own linguistic language. Madurai Sen Tamilo sari nama members ku puriyra mari. I think all of us are from Tamil Nadu only, so we don't have to worry about you don't have to worry about the language issues. So Saravana Kumar sir, you can take over in your own style. Yes sir, over to Saravana Kumar sir.
Thank you very much, Madan Gopal Narayan sir.
Yes, I will come once again for Bala Subramaniam sir after 1.5 hours.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So thank you very much, sir, for the nice words. And with this, I request our first speaker, Saran Kumar, to take over. And I request maybe 1 hour, 15 minutes, you can take it up. And last 15 minutes, we'll have a interaction session with our members. And I request all the members kindly register your attendance, name as well as membership number in your chat box. And type your questions also, any related to refund related questions, so that last 15 minutes will have a live interaction panel section with Saravana Kumar sir. Over to Saravana Kumar sir.
Thank you, sirs. Thanks a lot. Thanks, Madan sir, for the nice introduction. At the outset, I would like to express my heartfelt thanks to Anna Nagar CP Study Circle and the conveners and organizing committee for giving us this excellent opportunity of sharing our views, experience, and thoughts on this GST law. So thank you, first of all, for the opportunity. So the first topic is assigned to me is latest issues on GST refunds. Sir, my screen is visible, right? Hemant sir, my screen is visible, right? So the next 1 hour 15 minutes, we will concentrate on, we will not go in depth on the procedural issues like how the RFD 01 is structured, what columns are there. We will not concentrate on that because as we are all professionals, it is self-explanatory. And once the moment we see the formats, we'll be able to do that. And moreover, the topic given is latest issues on GST refunds. And hence I will concentrate on the issues in GST refund after touching the legal provisions relating to refunds. What are all the various types of refunds which are available in GST, and the connected provisions relating to those refunds and connected issues and latest case laws, latest decisions by high courts. So those we will concentrate, and the last 15 minutes we will deliberate on the queries raised by members. So first we will see the legal provisions relating to various refunds, and thereafter we will concentrate on issues. First, as far as refund is concerned in GST, most of the assessees, they are interested in getting back their input tax credit which are accumulated. Credit which has got accumulated in their credit ledger, for any reason, when it is not utilized, they would like to get the same back from the government as refund. Is it possible? What GST law says, the connected legal provisions in GST law for refund is section 54. Section 54 read with rule 89, 54 to 56, here rule 89, 90, it goes till 97. So these are the legal provisions connected to refund. So when we talk about input tax credit, really, there are two scenarios wherein a taxpayer is allowed refund. Refund of unutilized or accumulated input tax credit, there are two situations. Situation number one is credit which has got accumulated as a result of my zero rated supply. What is zero rated supply? Section 16 of IGST Act. One, export of goods or services, supply of goods or services are both to special economic zone, unit or a developer. These two constitute zero rated supply in GST law. So when I do export, I will not pay tax. So when I do not pay tax, my credit gets accumulated. That credit, that input tax credit, I apply as refund from the government and I get it back. So scenario number one is this zero rated supply, credit accumulated as a result of zero rated plus supply. Scenario number two is your inverted tax structure. What is this inverted tax structure? My rate of tax on input is higher than the rate of tax on output. My rate of tax is 18%, input tax is 18%, but my output tax is 5%. Obviously, my credit gets accumulated. I will not use my entire credit. Law allows me to to apply the accumulated credit as refund from the department. So this is my inverted tax structure. The very important point here is that when we talk about inverted tax structure, in this inverted tax structure, my output tax rate should be lower, but the law doesn't say it can be nil or exempted. Suppose my output tax is nil or exempted, then that doesn't fall within the purview of inverted tax structure. There must be some rate of tax. Only then I'll be able to apply for inverted tax structure. Right, sir? So will it be applicable to all cases wherein the input tax credit, where rate of input tax is more and my rate of output tax is less? The answer is no. The government has got power to notify certain supplies wherein inverted tax structure would not be applicable to those cases. The government is empowered to notify those supplies for which inverted tax structure, inverted refund is not applicable. The government has so far listed many supplies, and in these 3 years of GST, the major sector which were barred from applying for refund is our fabric, manufacture of fabric, but that was removed in July 2018. And thereafter, 2 cases are still there. Notification number 5/2017, wherein it is listed manufacture of certain railway components, locomotives and railway components. So those products are kept outside the purview of inverted. And as far as your construction industry, when you are involved in construction of complex or commercial complex or residential complex services, it could be possible that your input rate could be higher and your output rate could be lower. That is a restricted list. That has fallen under restricted list. You will not be eligible to apply for refund of the same in case of construction industry. So as far as input tax credit is concerned, 2 cases accumulated credit can be claimed as refund. One is zero rated supply and the second one is inverted tax structure. Other than these 2 cases, no other case would fall under this inverted, accumulate refund of unutilized input tax credit. Only these 2 cases are eligible to be applicable. And when we talk about this inverted tax structure, there could be doubt wherein, sir, I am a trader. Can I apply for inverted tax structure? Is it possible to apply for inverted refund? Suppose if I am a trader, what would be the rate of tax? Whatever the rate at which I have purchased material, the same would be the rate for sale. But if my input tax credit it has got accumulated, it could be because two reasons. Either I have piled up my inventory. So because I have huge inventory in hand, I may have unutilized input tax credit, but I'm not eligible to apply for inverted tax structure. And the second case, the reason for accumulated input tax credit in case of a trader is, I have purchased this mobile at the rate of 18%. After some period, the government has reduced the rate to 12%. Now it would be obvious that I would be charging the mobile at the rate of 12%, despite the fact that I have purchased it for 18%. But that doesn't fall under inverted tax structure. That has been clarified by the circular also. So those cases will not fall into inverted tax structure. So these are the two cases wherein unutilized input tax credit would be applicable. Next important point. For these two cases also, when I apply for refund, there are certain conditions involved. Proviso to section 54 subsection 3, which says that if you are applying for inverted tax structure, if you are making zero rated supply, your product should not be subject to export duty. If it is subject to export duty, you are not eligible to apply for refund. And the second condition is, you should not have claimed duty drawback in respect of central tax. If you have claimed drawback in respect of central tax, you are not eligible to apply for refund. The third condition, which I have highlighted, which I have underlined, that is very, very important, sir. The supplier has claimed refund of IGST paid on exports. Meaning, you all know, as far as export supplies are concerned, the refund is option number 1 is what we are discussing now. That is formally, technically called the LUT method, letter of undertaking. We will discuss what is that and all. So the option number 1 is LUT method. Option number 2 is with payment route. What is this with payment route? I will charge tax on my export supply, meaning I will pay tax on my export supply either by using credit or cash ledger. Whatever tax which has been paid, IGST paid on my export supply, I'll get it back as refund. The condition here is, the moment you have gone for that option, that is, you have applied refund, that is, you have received refund using with payment option, then you are not able to come for refund of unutilized input tax credit. This is obvious, no, sir. Once you go for this LUT method, you are not eligible for export payment of tax under LUT, export with the payment method. If you are going to with payment, this is not applicable. It's no. As far as zero rated supply, it is okay. But when you see section 54 subsection 3 gives two cases. Case number 1 is your unutilized refund of unutilized ITC in respect of zero rated supply. Case number 2 is your inverted tax structure. So the moment you have gone for with payment method, you are deprived of the benefit of applying for refund in case of inverted tax structure to the extent of that export supply. When we talk about the formula derived by the government in the inverted tax structure, we will see how this export supply with the payment plays a crucial role. So to that extent, suppose I will give an example. My output tax rate is 5% and my input tax rate is 18%. I have gone for with payment. I have domestic supplies, export supplies. For export supplies, I have chosen with payment method. When I chose with payment method, therein what will happen? For the with payment method, I would have got the refund under for zero rated supply. But at what rate I would have paid? I would have paid at 5%. Will that export supply be includable under the term inverted turnover is the moot question before us. So we will discuss this particular second question is of paramount importance when we apply for inverted tax structure. So what we have discussed, two cases of claiming refund of unutilized input tax credit. One is zero rated supply, another one is inverted tax structure. What are all the other scenarios the taxpayer is eligible to claim refund? One is unutilized tax credit. The next one would be whatever tax you have paid, claiming the same as refund. First case is claiming your unutilized input tax credit. Case number two is, method number two is getting back your IGST paid as refund. Getting back IGST paid as refund is the second method. What are all the various scenarios which will give rise to getting back the refund of tax which has already been paid? One is our with payment method, we have already discussed. That is, under export supply, I will pay tax on my export supply. After payment, I'll get it back as refund. So this is one of the scenarios. And the second one is, I have received advance. In terms of time of supply provision, I have paid tax. In terms of time of supply provision, I have paid tax. But later, the contract gets cancelled. The tax which I have paid excessively, I can get it back as refund. So next case. The next case listed in section 54.8 is refund of tax paid in pursuance of section 77. What is that? I have paid IGST. I have paid IGST, but actually my place of supply, it is an intrastate supply. I have considered intrastate supply as interstate supply. I have paid IGST, but I should have paid CGST, SGST. So the officer has found, he can ask me to pay the tax of CGST and SGST. What I can do, excessively paid IGST can be claimed back as refund. So that is another situation envisaged in section 54.8. The next case is tax wrongly or excessively paid. Tax wrongly or excessively paid. Say, for example, in my 3B, erroneously I have included double time. 100 invoices are there. Erroneously, I have included 150 invoices. Or some of the 10 invoices got duplicated. Though I have filed my GSTR1 correctly, in my 3B, I have erroneously filed more invoices, disclosed more invoices, and I have paid, ended up paying more taxes. So that excessive paid tax can be claimed back as refund. But one condition attached to this particular scenario is that I should establish the fact that the incidence of such tax has not been passed on. What is that incidence of tax? When we talk about on indirect taxes, the primary concept which is very important here is that this doctrine of unjust enrichment. What is this doctrine of unjust enrichment? I will tell an example. I have classified product at Sir, shall I continue? Okay. So my product.
One minute, sir. I request all the participants to kindly mute it, or else I will be disturbing others. I request. Sir, continue, sir.
So I have paid my output tax rate is 18%, 12%, but I have erroneously paid tax of 18%. My output tax rate is 12%, but I have collected 18%. Can I apply for refund? This is what is called incidence of tax has been passed on. Though the rate of tax is 12%, I have collected 18% and paid. It is not my money, it is my customer's money. So here they say that incidence of tax has been passed on. Wherever tax has been erroneously paid, the taxpayer has to establish the fact to the government that the incidence of such a tax has not been paid. In my first example, some of the sale invoices has been duplicated in my 3B return. So those duplicated invoices I have not collected extra. So that money I have paid from my packet. The extra paid tax can be claimed back as refund. So this is the next scenario. And the last scenario is such other cases notified by the government on the recommendations of the GST Council. There are many cases using this power the government has notified, like supplies to kind of defense canteen and your mandir. Certain some special cases are there which the government has specified. We are not going to touch those cases considering the paucity of time. We are going to concentrate only on the applicable cases for all of us. So first we have discussed refund of unutilized input tax credit. Second, we have discussed the cases wherein I have paid tax which I am claiming back as refund. So these are the two broad situations wherein I can claim refund. Section 16.3, when we talk about, we will discuss each of these cases independently. So before that, we will just go through the provisions of section 16.3 of IGST Act. What does that IGST Act says? Very, very important, sir. It says what is zero rated supply. Zero rated supply means supply of, export supply of goods or services are supplied to special economic zone. That is called zero rated supply. Section 16.3 says that when you are making zero rated supply, you are given two options. What is the two options? We have discussed now. As far as export supplies are concerned, two options. What are those two options? Option number one is LUT method. Option number two is with payment method. What is LUT method? I will not pay tax. I will not pay tax on my export supply and I will claim my unutilized input tax credit as refund. What is with payment method? Under with payment method, I will pay tax on my export supply. How do I pay? Suppose this particular month, say July 2020, my export supply comes to, amounts to rupees 1 crore. On this 1 crore, the applicable tax rate is 12%. So 12 lakhs, I will disclose this export supply in my GSTR 1. I'll disclose this export supply in my GSTR 3B, but I will pay tax, meaning 12 lakhs I will pay. How do I pay? Suppose I have 10 lakhs in my electronic credit ledger. Out of 12 lakhs, I will reduce my input tax credit of 10 lakh. 2 lakh I will pay in cash and 12 lakhs I will get it back as refund. How does this happen? We will discuss in detail. That is what your second case, that is option number 2 with payment method. As far as option number 1 is concerned, unutilized input tax credit is claimed. I will not pay on my outward supply, outward export supply, but I will claim unutilized input tax credit. Major difference between these two. Under first method, my unutilized input tax credit, I am eligible to claim the same as refund only with respect to input and input services. When we say input tax credit, there are 3 types. Inputs, all your goods which are used for providing, which are used in the course or furtherance of business. And capital goods. What are capital goods? Goods which are capitalized in the books of accounts. Goods which are capitalized in the books of accounts and used or intended to be used in the course or furtherance of business. Input services. Services which are used or intended to be used in the course or furtherance of business. So these are the 3 kinds of input tax credit. This capital goods are not eligible to be available as refund in case of unutilized. My input tax credit may get accumulated, which will comprise of capital goods also. I am not eligible to claim the same as refund. Tax paid on purchase of capital goods, even though the capital goods have been entirely used for making export supply, I am not eligible to apply the same as refund. But when we talk about route number 2, option number 2, I can very much use. In second case, I am claiming the paid taxes refund. So what do? I reduce whatever input tax credit available in my credit ledger, be it input services, capital goods. All this I will reduce and I will pay. Indirectly, I am allowed to get the refund of capital goods also. Not only capital goods, even transitional credits. So transitional credit can never be claimed as refund, even though it is accumulated under first method. But as far as second method is concerned, even that credit is used for making payment of outward supply. Indirectly, that is also coming back as refund. So this is what section 16.3 says, with payment route and without payment route. Here the very important point we need to concentrate here is that I am not eligible to apply for capital goods as refund. Where it is specified in Rule 89. It is not specified in section 16.3. When we read section 16.3, it just says, just underlined word. See, please see point number A. It says he may supply goods or services or both under letter of undertaking subject to safeguards procedures without payment of integrated tax, and claim refund of unutilized input tax credit. It says unutilized input tax credit. It doesn't restrict. Unutilized input tax credit such as input and input services are excluding capital goods. It doesn't say so. It just says refund of unutilized input tax credit. So now that most of you would have heard about the recent judgment on Gujarat High Court passed on 24th July 2020, BKC Footsteps India Private Limited. The same analogy, we will discuss that case law in depth. The same analogy is equally applicable for this case also. Meaning, when my section 54 or section 16 doesn't restrict me from applying for capital goods refund, the rules cannot restrict the power of the taxpayer from applying for capital goods refund. The same analogy holds good here also. So here input tax credit includes input services capital goods. Either your section 16.3 or your section 54.3 doesn't restrict claiming of refund in case of capital goods. Your rule 89.4 alone restricts the refund of capital goods. There has been number of decisions wherein it was held that your rule cannot override the provisions of an act. To quote an example, Honorable Supreme Court of India in the case of General Officer Commanding in Chief SS Dr. Subhash Chandra Yadav, wherein it was held that wherever your rules are overriding your provisions of an act, which is ultra vires the statute itself, and your rule becomes invalid. So same judgment we can await, but as far as Rule 89 is concerned, we cannot apply refund of capital goods. The important point which we need to remember. So when we compare LUT option and with payment option, under LUT option, no refund of capital goods transitional ITC, but in case of with payment, they are all given. And when you go for LUT option, it is a formula based. Most of the time, many of the input tax credits are restricted. And in case of LUT option, you have to approach the proper officer. He will scrutinize everything, and thereafter he will pass a refund order, which will be provisional refund order, and thereafter final refund order. Many issues are there. But in case of with payment, no interface with the officer. The moment you file the return, within 20 days of your filing return, the amount gets credited into your bank account. We will discuss that. And your very important point in case of export supply. Suppose I export rice, unbranded rice. Rate of GST for unbranded rice is nil. I'm not liable to pay any tax on it. But even if I export an exempted supply, I can very much claim refund of unutilized input tax credit on an exempt supply. If I do domestic, my domestic supplies are exempted taxable. So input tax credit as attributable to my domestic exempted supply, I'm not eligible to avail it. I'm not eligible to set it off with my taxable supply, outward supply. But in case of an export supply, in spite of the fact that my export supply is exempted, in my example, unbranded rice, I have exported unbranded rice, the input and input services used for manufacture of that unbranded rice and in turn exported, I am eligible to apply the same as refund, section 16(2) of IGST Act. What is the time limit for applying refund? 2 years. 2 years from the relevant date. From the relevant date, within 2 years, within a period of 2 years, I need to apply for refund. So what is that relevant date? For each of the refund scenarios, relevant date is specified. In case of export of goods, date of export. Date on which goods leave India, either it could be by seaport or by airport or by land. Wherever let export order is, date of that let export order. When do the goods leave India? From the date, 2 years, within 2 years, you need to apply. In case of deemed export, we will discuss about deemed export, date of filing the return. In case of export of services, for goods, it leaves India. But in case of services, 2 cases. I first complete the service and thereafter I invoice and thereafter I receive money. Here, if this being the case, date of invoice is the relevant date. So first I invoice it, after 1 month or 2 months, the buyer gives, correct? So in the whenever I first invoice and after which I get the money, the relevant date is date of receipt of payment. Sorry, not date of invoice, date of receipt of payment. Whenever I get advance payment, after getting advance payment, I complete the service. Then in that case, date of issue of invoice is the relevant date for applying refund of unutilized credit in case of export of services. And in other cases, because of order of an adjudication authority, appellate authority or tribunal or court, so date of communication of such order is the relevant date. From that receipt of communication, 2 years is the time limit. In case of provisional assessment, date of adjustment of tax after final assessment. In case of refund by any other person other than the supplier, date of receipt of goods or services. those cases which are not fallen under any of these cases, date of payment of tax, that is excessively paid tax or wrongly paid tax. When did you pay the tax? In GST, the date of payment of tax is not the date on which you make the payment in your cash ledger, rather it is filing of your GSTR 3B return. So that filing date of GSTR 3B return, or in case you make the payment through DRC 03, date of filing your DRC 03 is the relevant date. From that, you need to take 2 years for the purpose of applying refund. We will analyze each of the refund scenarios in depth. Refund of IGST paid on exports. We will discuss on with payment. What are the nuances involved in with payment route? I export goods, not services. I am talking about goods. I export goods. I have chosen the method number 2, option number 2. That is, I will disclose GSTR 1 and 3B as if it is a taxable supply. I will pay tax. After payment, I need not approach any assessing officer, proper officer. The refund would get credited in my bank account. What is the procedure involved? In a nutshell, let me explain the procedure. I will disclose all my export supplies in GSTR 1 and 3B. And when I disclose those details, very importantly, I will disclose shipping bill details, export invoice details. So when after I file the same GSTR 1, after I file GSTR 1, your GSTN portal transmits the data of your export supplies to IceGate portal, customs portal. Customs portal cross verifies the data of your shipping bill and export invoices with that of one filed in the customs port at the time of export. Your export manifest would have been filed. In the export manifest, all these details will be available. The customs system, the customs portal will cross verify your GSTR 1 data and customs data, and when it matches, it passes a refund order, and obviously the refund, whatever input by IGST you paid on your export supply will get credited into a bank account. Max 20 to 30 days from the date of filing your return, the refund will get credited into a bank account. No need to approach the officer. And when you disclose all the data in GSTR 1 and in 3B, you will use your input tax credit. Your input tax credit may comprise of trans credit, capital goods credit, input services credit. You can use it, and thereafter it will be given back as refund. So here, filing of shipping bill itself is the deemed application for refund. Unlike your LUT case, you need to go to the portal, GSTN portal. You have to take your RFD 01. If all the process is involved, but here, just filing of your GSTR 1, filing of your shipping bill will be deemed as the refund application. The deemed application, filing of shipping bill shall be deemed as the refund application only when your GSTR 1 data and customs data matches. So your crew of the ship or captain of the ship should have filed export manifest or export report. The data in customs portal, that is export manifest, filed by your ship crew must be tallied with the data what you have submitted in your GSTR 1. Entirely it must be same. Only then your deemed application is complete in all respect. Where there is a mismatch between GSTR 1 data and your customs data, refund will not be processed. What types of errors may come? When there are errors in your invoice number, shipping bill number, port code, erroneous invoice value or taxable value or IGST, wherever there is a mismatch, your refund, you will not get the refund. And very importantly, 95% of the cases, I request all the members to take the point which I am going to tell now, which is very important. Most of the cases, the refund is blocked due to mismatch between GSTR 1 and 3B. See, in GSTR 1, I disclose my export supply. In GSTR 3B also, I disclose my export supply and I pay tax. But taxpayers commit error in disclosing the export supply under export zero rated supply column. Instead of disclosing in zero rated supply column, they erroneously disclose under taxable value itself, and they pay the tax as if it is a domestic supply. Your customs portal and GSTN portal do not know whether paid your export supply tax, whether tax has been paid on export supply or not, both the portals will not know. Block the refund. So how do I know, sir? In case of LUT refund, I can approach the officer. He will issue a show cause notice. These are the errors he will point out. But in case of with payment route, how do I know, sir? What reason, on what grounds the refund has not yet come? So let me tell, sir. So the third bullet, I request the members to see. Ensure fields such as invoice number, with payment, WPay is with payment in your GST and shipping bill. All this data are correctly given. If any errors are there in this, you will know in your GST portal under services, under refunds, you will have this option. Track status of invoice data to be shared with IceGate. This is very, very important. You will get these data. That is, what are all the invoices which are shown in your GSTR1? What are all the invoices transmitted to IceGate? This should get matched. In case of any errors, you will have this download failed invoices button. When you click on download failed invoices button, it would transmit all the failed invoices, wherein you can see what is the data as per customs portal, what is the data you have given in your GSTR1 data. In case of any mismatches, you can put an amendment in the subsequent GSTR1 return, and after putting amendment, you will get the refund back. And the second case, I told 90% of the cases, error in disclosing the value in 3B return. And instead of showing the same under zero rated supply column, people erroneously show under taxable column. Here, you need to click on the top of it. You will have this option, view export ledger. When you click on this export ledger, please see, you can download this as Excel file also, CSV file also. See, in June 2020, this taxpayer has under GSTR1, 6,35,651 is the IGST amount. For GSTR3B, same amount. Wherever there is a mismatch in these amounts, you will not get the refund. What to do? In the next 3B return, you have to reduce your taxable value and show in export column. In the very next month, you will get the refund. So this is the maximum number of cases wherein refund is not received by the taxpayer under with payment option. So under with payment option, next important issue. Next important issue, sir. I request the members. Number 990C nariya sign பண்ண போறோம் sir. 1819 990C sign பண்றதுக்கு முன்னால இந்த particular point நம்ம பார்த்தாகணும் sir. Very, very important. It has got a serious impact in our 990C. Now that the department has started issuing show cause notices for these cases. What is notification number 54/2018 or notification, sir. And the notification, I am an exporter. What do? I export goods and I have chosen payment option. In my GSTR1, I have chosen with payment option and I have paid tax and I am doing everything. But there are conditions attached to it. Sir, I export under foreign trade policy, advance license, EPCG, export promotion capital goods, EPCG scheme, in the mari sila benefits irukku. What is that advance license? Now, advance license which is there, when I hold advance license, I will not pay customs duty. When I import goods, what should I do? I have to pay customs duty and also I should have to pay IGST. IGST pay பண்ணனும், customs duty pay பண்ணனும். Pay பண்ணிட்டு நான் input tax IGST எடுத்துப்பேன். அதை நான் வித் பேமெண்ட்ல போறப்ப யூஸ் பண்ணிப்பேன். I will get it back as refund. ஆனா advance license நான் வாங்கியிருந்தேன்னா I would not have paid customs duty and I would not have paid IGST. Wherever the exporter has claimed at the time of import from payment of customs duty and IGST, he is not eligible to go for with payment option. Very important, sir. Please see in your claims, because the refund received have to be paid back to the government then. So யாரெல்லாம் advance license வச்சு goods import பண்ணி IGST கட்டாம இருந்திருக்காங்களோ அவங்களுக்கு with payment option கிடையாது. With payment option is not at all applicable. அவங்க கண்டிப்பா என்ன பண்ணணும் சார்? LUT ஆப்ஷனுக்கு தான் போகணும், with payment ஆப்ஷனுக்கு போக கூடாது. அப்படி with payment ஆப்ஷனுக்கு போயிருந்தாங்கன்னா they have to pay back the refund, no other go. அதை பே பண்ணிட்டு மறுபடியும் டைம் லிமிட் இருந்துச்சுன்னா LUT ஆப்ஷன்ல போய் what they have to do, they can apply for refund provided time limit of 2 years exists. This notification has come into effect with effect from 9th October 2018. Yes sir, 9C பத்தி சொன்னீங்க. 9C ல பார்ட் ஆடிட்டர் ரெக்கமெண்டேஷன்ல refund நம்ம பாத்துறோமான்னு சொல்லி கேக்குறாங்க, wherein we need to report. So இந்த மாதிரி எக்ஸ்போர்ட்டர்ஸ் நம்மளோட கிளைம்ஸ்ல யார் யாரெல்லாம் வித் பேமெண்ட் ஆப்ஷன் போயிருக்காங்களோ, வித் பேமெண்ட் இங்க இம்போர்ட்ஸ்ல அட்வான்ஸ் லைசன்ஸும் வச்சிருக்காங்களோ, அட்வான்ஸ் வச்சு குட்ஸை இம்போர்ட் பண்ணி IGST பே பண்ணியிருந்தாங்கன்னா அந்த கன்சைன்மெண்ட்டுக்கு வித் பேமெண்ட் ஆப்ஷன் போக முடியாது. வெரி வெரி இம்பார்ட்டன்ட் சார். அட் த சேம் டைம் deemed exports, merchant export. What is that deemed export and merchant export? In case of deemed export, when you supply goods to deemed, that is a holder of advance license or EPCG or EOU, that is called deemed export. So அப்ப deemed export இருக்கிறப்ப சில பெனிஃபிட்ஸ் எனக்கு கொடுத்திருக்காங்க, அங்கேயும் நான் ரீஃபண்ட் வாங்கிக்கலாம். ஸோ என்னோட சப்ளையர் யாராவது, நான் அட்வான்ஸ் லைசன்ஸ் வச்சிருக்கேன், என் சப்ளையர் என்கிட்ட எனக்கு குட்ஸ் கொடுத்திருக்காரு, அட்வான்ஸ் லைசன்ஸ் யூஸ் பண்ணி நான் அவருக்கு டாக்ஸ் கட்டல, பட் அவரு டாக்ஸை கட்டி ரீஃபண்ட் வாங்கியிருந்தாருன்னா அப்பவும் நான் வித் பேமெண்ட் ஆப்ஷனுக்கு போகக்கூடாது. வாட் இஸ் மெர்ச்சன்ட் எக்ஸ்போர்ட்? I purchase goods from a supplier, I do not do any process, I export it. I am a merchant exporter. So my supplier can charge me 0.1% instead of the actual rate. போடுறதுக்கு பதிலா 0.1% போடலாம். So இந்த மாதிரி நான் மெர்ச்சன்ட் எக்ஸ்போர்ட்டர் கிட்ட இருந்து வாங்கியிருந்தேன்னாலும் I am not eligible to go for with payment route. These are the important points we need to verify in our claims wherever they have gone for with payment route. Why I am stressing on this point very importantly is that maximum exporters have committed, meaning they have, without knowing this provision, they have gone for with payment option even though they have availed these benefits. So very important. So these are the issues which we have discussed for with payment option, and we will now concentrate on LUT quickly. What are all the issues involved in LUT?
Sorry to interrupt you, sir. One more time. I request few members, mics are on, especially one or two. I don't want to name the people. Kindly mute it so that it will not disturb to other members. Still we are getting the sound, sir. I think, madam, kindly mute it. I request madam to mute it.
Sir, shall I continue?
Thank you, sir. Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. So, in case of LUT, so far we have discussed. So far we have discussed about with payment route. Now we will discuss the issues connected to LUT, claiming of unutilized input tax credit. The first condition for claiming unutilized input tax credit is the taxpayer should have filed letter of undertaking. It is nothing but a simple one-page form filed online. It will not take much of time to file. So letter of undertaking must be filed by all the exporters who are claiming refund under LUT method. Those who are claiming refund under with payment method, this is not necessary. There are some cases they would not claim refund, meaning my export supply may be 1 crore, but my domestic supply may be 50 crores. Obviously, my input tax credit and export supply, I will set it off with my domestic supply. Those kind of exporters should also apply for LUT. So failure to apply for LUT will disentitle your benefit of export. So it is very much important to apply for letter of undertaking on in each financial year. So the time limit for the financial year 2021 is extended to 30th June 2020, and in turn again it is extended to 31st August 2020. Those exporters who have not filed LUT for the same may file it before this 31st August. That is very important. In case an exporter has failed to apply for LUT, but he has exported without payment of tax, can he apply for refund? So there was a clarification in circular number 37/11/2018, wherein it was stated that it is procedural so it may be condoned based on the facts of the facts and circumstances of the each case. In case of exempted supply, filing of LUT is not required. So that is what, so issue number 1 in case of LUT is filing of letter of undertaking. The next is Rule 96A. All the provisions relating to with payment is contained in Rule 96A of CGST rules. That is what we are discussing now. Very important condition.
Sheshma ji, please kindly mute it. It's repeatedly disturbing the session. I was blocking it. Sheshma, this is the member Sheshma. Please kindly, Sheshma ji, still you are on. Kindly mute it. Kindly don't disturb the. I request other members not required to disturb it. Sriram sir, you're also unmute position. Kindly mute it. Sorry sir. Go ahead.
So now this Rule 96A contains another condition. What is that condition? Sir, na LUT la poirukren abdingrappa I need to export within a period of 3 months. If 15 days have elapsed after a period of 3 months and still I am not exported from the date of my invoice, then I am deprived of the benefit of all export benefits. I need to pay tax for the export supply. So na export panine abina invoice date la 3 months kulla I have to export it. Actually, I should have filed my shipping bill. My goods have gone out of India. So if that doesn't happen, whatever I have declared to be export supply in my GST return, I have to pay tax along with the interest. That is first condition as far as goods are concerned. In case of services, if export of service, payment should have been received. Goods it is tangible, we can very much identify. But in case of services, the condition attached here is, in case of export of services, you should receive the convertible foreign currency within 15 days after a period of 1 year from the date of export invoice. Export invoice date la irundhu 1 year ulla you should have received your payment. Failing to which, after 15 days from expiry of 1 year, you have to pay back your tax on export of service. Whatever you have declared as your export of service in your return, you need to pay tax along with the interest. There are certain cases wherein I failed to export the goods after 3 months, but later, say after 4 or 5 months, export has happened. Or in case of services, I did not receive payment within this time limit specified, but I have received payment after 1.5 years. Can the officer now ask me to pay tax and interest and again claim the refund of the same? The circular clarified that no need. In case they have made good, this condition is a procedural one, need not be, because officer may insist the exporters to make payment of tax that does not warranted as clarified by circular number 37/11/2018. So what is the formula for LUT, input tax credit? எப்படி நான் unutilized input tax credit refund வாங்குறது சார்? This formula is a simple formula, common sense formula. Suppose I have input tax credit of 10 lakhs. Exports during the year is 1 crore, turnover is 1 crore, and my domestic turnover is 1 crore. So my total turnover is 2 crore. What is the input which are attributable to export? 5 crore, 10 lakhs is my input tax credit, 2 crore is my total turnover, 1 crore is my export turnover. What is the refund? 5 lakhs is the refund. So proportionately this formula is drafted. So refund is equal to turnover of zero rated supply divided by adjusted total turnover into net input tax credit, right? What is net input tax credit? Here only the condition comes. நம்ம LUT route ல போயிட்டு இருக்கோம். So LUT route ல போறப்ப here it says input and input services. So it doesn't say capital goods. So இந்த இடத்துல நம்ம input and input services மாத்திரம் தான் எடுக்கணும், capital goods எடுக்க கூடாது. That is your net input tax credit. Other than input tax credit and 4A or 4B ன்னு சொல்லிருக்காங்க சார். What is this 4A or 4B? Deemed export and merchant export. If I claim refund in respect of deemed export, that must be separate. It must not be coupled with this formula. For deemed export, I have to identify all my input tax credits separately. For merchant export, I have to identify my input tax credits separately. For that, separate refund should be applied and not under this general zero rated supply. That is why they are asking us to exclude this input tax credit. What is zero rated? Very, very important, sir. An amendment has come from 23rd March 2020. What does that say? Turnover of zero rated supply of goods. நான் என்ன சொன்னேன் சார், என்னோட export supply 1 crore, domestic supply 1 crore, so totally 2 crores. My input tax credit is 10 lakhs. 10 lakh divided by 2 crore into 1 crore, 5 lakhs in easy கண்டுபிடிச்சோம் பாத்தீங்களா? பட் இங்க ஃபார்முலா வர்றப்ப என்ன சொல்றாங்கன்னு பாத்தீங்கன்னா, it is not the export value as declared in your export invoice. There must be a condition. See, I am this paperweight I am exporting. This paperweight I am selling in India also. In India, this paperweight is charged at 50 rupees. In India, this paperweight is charged at 50 rupees. But for export, I am charging 200 rupees. India, la idhukku 50 rupees. Idhe model, ditto same. In the paperweight, per piece 50 rupees na charge pandren. I am selling at 50 rupees per piece. But to outside India, I am charging 200 rupees. What is my export value? This formula says your export value can be to a maximum of 1.5 times of your domestic supply. When the same product is sold by you, what is the domestic price? Into 1.5. That can be your maximum export. Or if it is supplied by anybody else in India, take that price. That is what they call similarly placed supplier. Take that price into 1.5 times. So here 50 rupees means if I charge 200 rupees means my export value is only 150. So this is obviously this provision is adverse to most of the exporters. Those exporters who have got huge margin will get impacted by this. Actually, the government wants to curb fraudulent exports by enhancing the value of export. So because of that, all the exporters are impacted by this provision. That is, capping 1.5 times is actually not a favorable amendment for the export sector, which has been heavily represented by many industries, including our ICA, but the government is set to respond. So for all the refunds, what we need to say is, if the same product is domestically supplied, what is the price into 1.5 times can be the export value. If I have charged for 80 rupees, fine, no problem. But if I charge 200 rupees, my export value shall be 150 rupees. That is what. Zero rated supply of services. நம்ம இந்த ஃபார்முலா பார்க்குறப்ப சார் என்ன போட்டிருக்காங்க அப்படின்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா, your zero rated supply of goods plus services divided by total turnover into net IDC போட்டிருக்காங்க. நம்ம zero rated supply of goods என்னன்னு பார்த்தோம். Zero rate of supply of services. This is also very common sense. சார், நான் எந்த பீரியடுக்கு ரீஃபண்ட் அப்ளை பண்றேனோ அந்த பீரியட்ல எந்த பீரியடுக்கு நான் ரீஃபண்ட் அப்ளை பண்றேனோ அந்த பீரியட்ல எவ்வளோ எக்ஸ்போர்ட் ஆஃப் சர்வீசஸ்க்காக நான் பில் பண்ணியிருக்கணும், பில் பண்ண அமௌண்ட்டுக்கு எவ்வளோ நான் அமௌண்ட் வாங்கியிருக்கேன், அதுதான் இந்த ஃபார்முலா. சே ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள், during January 2020, I have billed 1 crore rupees for export of services. Now 1 crore bill பண்ணியிருந்தாலும் அந்த 1 crore bill பண்ணதுல எனக்கு 80 lakhs வந்திருக்கு. So I will consider 80 lakhs. I will consider 80 lakhs. Plus
Hello.
Sir, Hemant sir.
Yeah.
Video got stopped, sir.
There is, I think, there is a. I think there is a disturbance at speaker end. Let me find out, sir.